Health Philosophy 101. The views and opinions expressed in this segment are just those of a consumer. Anything herein must be confirmed by your naturopathic physician or your family physician. I guarantee there won't be any naturopathic physician in your neighborhood. You'll have to go look for one. This was an article published entitled Ways to Live Longer and Feel Healthier. First published December 16, 2010 on Facebook. Of the several years that I worked in a health food store, I learned a few nutritional values that could help people live to be 100 years and feel young the entire way. To do this, a person might have to spend $100 or more if you want to live to be 120 years old. There is only one documented case of a person from the Middle Ages living longer to be 140 or 50 or something to that effect. This wouldn't surprise me if you realize that Adam and all of his immediate descendants, as Shakespeare referred, or as old as Methuselah, lived about 1,000 years. Only about 6,000 years ago, per biblical record, if we are now in the year 2000 AD. Noah lived 700 years about, and his descendants lived no longer than Isaac or Jacob, Abraham, and the first Egyptian descendants of Cain, who came through the flood on the ark with Noah, through the lineage of Ham, lived 200 years, until finally, by the time of Moses, life expectancy went down, and God pronounced that 120 years will be the measure of a man's life, as man's imagination is foolish and corrupt from his youth. Although my dentist tells me that they didn't need all of the same dental procedures, like wisdom teeth removed, scientists say they can therapy the DNA or something about our physiology to revitalize us to live longer, if they can understand how it works, and live better, to just put a stopper on aging, ungracefully. But I am not counting on it. But at least we don't age like some people who genetically age too quickly. An elephant lives 100 years. A squid can live for hundreds of years. But the mineral resources on Earth are going to be much scarcer in several hundred years and will not sustain a massive population, or so says Scientific American. That says the Earth's atmosphere is leaking also, that magazine. Will people have to grow blue-green algae to subside, or chlorella to eat hydroponically? Stephen Hawking is wrong. We will not survive space travel light years away to some undiscovered solar system. Light years is how fast the speed of light travels in a year, which is very far away from the closest star that we know of. Stephen Hawking is wrong. We will not survive space travel light years away to some undiscovered solar system. Who would want that anyway? Star Trek will always remain fiction. In the meantime, there are a few tricks if diet isn't working for some people. The most important first product to add is a bioflavonoid, multiple vitamin mineral. Centrum is an inorganic form of minerals and passes right through to the porta potty. As solid tablets found in the porta potty, you get what you pay for. The minerals should be amino acid chelated. That means they are 50% absorbable. The vitamins must not be synthetic vitamin C, E, or A. It is synthetic vitamin E if the label says D-L-alpha-tocopherol. So don't use it for safety reasons. Instead, look for a product that says D-alpha-tocopherol. The vitamin C should be from rose hips, but not ascorbic acid. Instead, use a product by Allacer, A-L-L-A-C-E-R, I believe, that uses non-acidic mineral ascorbate, such as Emergency, is the name of the product, drink mix, with B vitamins and electrolytes, but they also make a solid tablet of it. And I don't know anything about Ester C. The next thing to include in Dr. Wallach's pig arthritis formula, is Dr. Wallach's pig arthritis formula, the cultures that live to be 100 years old in our world now, with no arthritis or heart problems, no clogged arteries, although they eat a lot of yak fat and other saturated animal products, includes the Tibetan Himalayans, the Hunzas, and the Titicacans, etc. My source is Dr. Wallach on this, etc., who get glacial runoff that they water on their crops that is filled with trace minerals from the periodic table of elements. We do not put any rock dust or granite dust back into our agricultural soils here in the United States. Until then, we can use 20 to 40 drops of concentrated minerals from the Great Salt Lake in 8 ounces of orange juice with a packet of Knott's gelatin for the chondroitin sulfate that it contains. Drink twice a day, every day, and it will help rebuild joints, ligaments, tendons, and cartilage. Another product on the market that may be useful is Liquid Supple. He thinks that carpal tunnel syndrome can be prevented by the constant usage of trace minerals. But unlike him, I do not purchase colloidal minerals from ancient plant deposits because of the high aluminum content. But I use trace minerals from the Great Salt Lake. The product is called Concentrace, and I have not felt the need to purchase Mesotrace brand either, which is from rocks. The next thing to worry about is found in Udo Erasmus' book, Fats That Heal and Fats That Kill. Dr. Wallach also says that gray hair is caused by a tin deficiency. Udo Erasmus' book, Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill. People should avoid all non-fat products, all vegetable shortenings and hydrogenated oils. The fats that heal included avocados, olive oil, flax oil, evening primrose oil, borage oil, fish oil, and even cold-pressed hemp seed oil. Hemp is a non-drug form of marijuana that can be grown commercially and is in some countries for rope and for its the hemp seed oil. The hemp seed oil has the proper spectrum of omega-3, 6s, and 9s for the human body. Udo Erasmus also has a product on the market. These products can only be found in a specialty fine health food store or over the internet, and I don't mean going to your local GNC necessarily. Because remember, you get what you pay for. The book, Prescription for Nutritional Healing by Phyllis Balch, CNC, tells how to use nutrition to remedy common problems. She mentions chromium picolinate and vanadium and B vitamins as useful in helping the body to use insulin. This mineral is deficient in most diets. The sweetener stevia by the company Cal, K-A-L, or is it C-A-L, has no bitter aftertaste. It's the best one I have found, the Cal brand of stevia. Stevia as a plant is a little herb. I've touched it. The exact powder is 50 times, the extracted powder, 50 times sweeter than sugar and can be used in baking. It nourishes the pancreas, and when using cosmetics, bacteria will starve when trying to eat it. The book, Eat Right for Your Blood Type, by Dr. Peter D. Adamo, says that there is blood types of A, B, O, and AB. We don't need the negative or the positive in that. Who respond differently to the lectins that are in our food. Each body type reacts highly beneficial to some foods, neutrally to the lectins that are found in different foods, or negatively to lectins found in a food, depending on the different categories of the foods your blood type will be able to take. React to it differently than other blood types. Dr. Russell Blaylock wrote the book Excitotoxins, The Taste That Kills, saying that NutraSweet and monosodium glutamate is like what is in Chinese food, or MSG, or L-glutamine, or L-aspartame, just amino acids also of those, can excite our brain cells into dying. That's why some people get a headache when they eat Chinese food. It is what is in the top ramen season packets. It's also labeled as flavors, or spices, or just innocent-sounding words, like in Campbell's soup and other things. But the truth is, I had some Crystal Light. It made me feel so bad, because it's loaded with aspartame. It's an excitotoxin. Hal Higgins hinted that silver dental fillings are 50% mercury. Instead, a person should get a safer material for their dental fillings. Although it doesn't last as long, one material that you might consider is Helamolar. It's more benign. It's a white composite material or ceramic. I mean, there's different labels for what these materials are called, and Helamolar is supposed to be one of the safer ones on the market. If you're very sensitive to things, you might want to go to a specialist who specializes in alternative medicine to get the right material. Root canals can change bacteria in the mouth to disease-causing toxins, some believe. In one study, when they put a root canal under a rabbit's fur, the rabbits died of a root canal. That's because the oxygen bacteria become antioxidant bacteria when trapped in a root canal. Those toxins can kill a person's. In one study, the nutrition from microwave foods causes drops in beneficial blood levels of certain indicators, according to Tom Valentine in his Search for Health magazine. He's the one, his company Search for Health, Chirotech, I think it starts with a C, C-A-R. They sell coenzyme Q10 from coconut oil. He recommends that coconut oil doesn't kill but helps people. And they use a certain enhancer in their products, supposedly, to make it. Anyway, other things to include in your diet are ginseng. That is an adaptogenic herb. An adaptogenic herb that can give more energy. It adjusts your energy levels in your blood chemistry. Digestive enzymes like bromelain, that is in papaya or food supplements. Pre-digested whey protein has amino acids like methionine, glutathione, and cysteine that will calm and help detoxify the liver, which are very rare to get in our diets. Standardized extracts like milk thistle with a standardized concentration of the Sumerian from the milk thistle, which is pharmaceutically extracted and concentrated from that plant, can also help the liver detoxify. Antioxidants and like resveratrol from red grapes, when given to rats, help them to run marathons. And it is from red grapes. It might help people to feel younger and live longer, according to these preliminary findings. It is in the cocoa pure tea that uses dark chocolate to lower blood pressure, like odorless and enteric-coated and standardized garlic for allicin is also helpful, but that's a tricky product to find. You have to trust the company that makes that kind of garlic. Acidophilus ambifidus, and there's another one for the large intestine, one for the small intestine. They're beneficial bacteria, or they call it lactic flora. And one other should be taken when on antibiotics, because those drugs kill these vital strains that we need for digestion. Sometimes it's better to get it not from yogurt, but from a specialty health food store product. And a special variety has been engineered if you can find that product. Zinc can be antiparasitic, but should be used in conjunction with copper. You have to balance your copper and zinc intake, and it has to be amino acid chelated for better absorption, because you only absorb inorganic minerals at 3% and less as you get older. As for the trace minerals that I mentioned earlier, a tin, right, I told you about the tin deficiency can lead to gray hair. Pecnogenol, or grapenol, one is from pine bark and grapenol is from grape seeds, is an antioxidant that's 50 times more powerful than vitamin C and 20 times more powerful than vitamin E, and can have good effects. Melatonin sublingual, 3 milligrams, I believe it goes under the enzymatic therapy brand, that goes under the tongue seems for now to be a safe way to get to sleep. But long-term studies haven't been shown on these. 5-HL-hydroxytryptophan, and what it is that is in turkey and milk and bananas, is a precursor to melatonin hormone. And have honey with these foods before going to bed. That's from Dirk Pearson and Sandy Shaw. Recommends eating a high-protein dinner in the morning to help keep alert. Superoxide dismutase, that is in wheatgrass juice, that you can grow from red winter wheat berries, and is found in California juice bars, is both a powerful cleanser, antioxidant, anti-cancer, and anti-parasitic product. In fact, Cindy Crawford uses superoxide dismutase from melons in her line of facial products. Don't start eating these foods without your doctor's permission. Don't change any drugs you are taking without checking with your naturopathic physician or with your family physician sooner. But a naturopathic physician may be asked about what I have written because they go to a alternative, complementary and nutritional or natural health college like Bastyr University in Seattle, Washington, or in Portland, Oregon, in addition to having already gone to a 4-year medical degree like any other college. They can suggest better than I have and monitor you when taking certain nutrients. Chelation therapy is hard to find in the United States, but if you have high levels of heavy metals like lead or mercury, you can also try going to Mexico or Canada for this IV or intravenous treatment. It can only be used intravenously, meaning you have to be hooked up. Your blood supply,
your blood is hooked up to than I have, and monitor you when taking certain nutrients. Chelation therapy is hard to find in the United States, but if you have high levels of heavy metals like lead or mercury, you can also try going to Mexico or Canada for this IV or intravenous treatment. It can only be used intravenously, meaning you have to be hooked up. Your blood is hooked up to an IV. You need 15 minutes a day of bare, armed, or shoulder sun exposure to get your recommended vitamin D. Synthetic vitamin D, like what's in milk, is not going to help you prevent cancer and the other benefits they found from vitamin D. Cheap vitamins should be avoided, and not all herbs are safe when not under a professional supervision, and can hurt and cause liver damage. Some fillers of cheap vitamins are heavy metals. There's no guarantee you're getting the right potency claimed on the label, or a usable form of the nutrient. The book, Smart Drugs, Smart Nutrients, says that there are nootropic drugs like piracetam, and also nutrients like inositol, choline, and lecithin that can protect the brain and may make people smarter. Some of these can only be obtained over the border, but not all of those things have always been safe for the manufacturer. Bach flower essences, like the 5-flower Rescue Remedy, might have a calming effect in some people, as those flower vibrations were studied in England. All home water should be filtered from chlorine, but never use distilled water for drinking. A PUR, pure water filter, or a Brita filter has been used to me as found in just at a regular price. This removes microbes and toxins, but leaves enough minerals in the water so that it doesn't become acidic. People should watch the pH of the foods they eat. A person might be too acidic or too base or alkaline. And eat superfoods like quinoa, amaranth, blue-green algae, kelp, chlorella, protein, etc. B-complex vitamins are helpful, but B12 should be used under a doctor's supervision. It's an injection. They were working on a cholesterol-lowering drug from a Greek blood discovery that allowed people on an island to eliminate bad cholesterol very quickly. For prostate health, there is beta-sitosterol, now from cheap sources like sugarcane and soy, that will help in the formula. The formula is, I can't remember the name of it, to shrink the prostate, whereas Pygium and Salpamento are too expensive and only offer minute amounts of beta-sitosterol in comparison. But there is a product on the market that I think is called beta prostate. I'm not sure, but it's advertised specifically that they use the beta-sitosterol from the cheap sources and in mega doses from those sources. People should avoid using hormones like DHEA or testosterone, as the long-term safety hasn't been evaluated yet. Stay away from diet products except for L-carnitine because they have too much stimulants in them, and so many have been using harmful prescription drugs hidden in them that they have been pulled off the market. Like some products actually contain prescription drugs when they're not regulated. Pulled off the market as reported this morning on Daytime TV, December 16, 2010. Exercise 45 minutes, 5 times a week. Fast walking or cardio is important. The measurements for cholesterol indicators are better known to naturopaths than to medical doctors, including what kind of testosterone to check for in blood tests. The kombucha tea drink has liver enzymes that people might find helpful. I would use a health food store brand of toothpaste that doesn't contain fluoride, although it is a little more expensive and difficult to find sometimes. Fluoride is a noxious poison that many naturopaths believe doesn't strengthen the tooth enamel at all, but once swallowed it remains in someone's system permanently in one organ of the body. We should avoid the kind of advice that allows for chemical manufacturers to dispose of fluoride by putting it in municipal drinking water anywhere. A new supplement to slow down or reverse Alzheimer's is Phytogen, I think, or a fake form of something that is made by jellyfish that was advertised on the radio, but it is very expensive. The long-term studies on it are not yet out for the mass public, and I noticed on the radio they were using, or on the media, they were using spritzes of insulin to treat people with Parkinson's or Alzheimer's. I believe the word was Alzheimer's, because they say Alzheimer's is a diabetes of the brain, a metabolic disorder. If there's any other underlying causes of it, I'm not sure, but that has been highlighted for that. The long-term studies on the phytogen jellyfish are not out yet for the public. Coenzyme Q10 is used by the heart muscle and for metabolism. I'd recommend that more people consider using it for energy and a strong heart and vascular system. When it comes to things like aromatherapy, like using peppermint oil on the forehead to stay alert, I'd rather spend my money on music therapy. Music like Bach and Mozart and Handel's water music have been shown on PBS television to stimulate deep parts of the mind that other composers can't seem to affect the same way as these others have. Other forms of music, like music that revolves around the psychological reaction, about hate, like the Rolling Stones or AC/DC or other music, has a detrimental effect on the mind in its ability to organize itself. That should come as no surprise. Yet innocent people have died at these concerts because of the dark power contained in that music, the performing of it and its composition, or the devil's power that is part of the music and performed that way by hot-shot celebrities in the name of freedom of speech, or rather freedom of expression. There was a young person who died at the Salt Palace when at an AC/DC concert. He died because he was so innocent in God's eyes, I believe, and not for any crowd control reasons when he was exposed to the dark power that was in this music. I mean, not because it hurt him, because it was evil to him. Except these same songs are on the radio like rock and roll stations played just about anywhere, and these songs aren't even death metal or sound bad, but are well written and highly conceived in their scope to produce deaths in some people. The Greeks outlawed some forms of music just by the musical notes and the rhythms that were used, not even with singing, and these songs were outlawed. Maybe it's time to get modern and outlaw some forms of thematic content scripted in movies and music that is just as malicious as music. I know that some women, they channel spirits, or they claim to, who claim to be goddesses, into their bodies to talk and answer questions for whoever wants to pay them to do it, right here in the United States, per the idea of freedom of religion, or the Psychic Hotline Network. Some women really claim to worship the devil and try to weaken others to be harmed by the devil and his power, as demonstrated on the Art Bell radio show. When she talks about sending the devil to someone, she wasn't really kidding. These people are all the more reason why we have to take good care, not just physically, but also of mental and also spiritual health, and to be on the right side of God's line or standard. Some people can use the iridium, I believe it's called iridium light bulbs that give a more full spectrum lighting experience for the wintertime to ward off depression. It's iridium, I believe. Or it's something. It would say when you type in the word full spectrum light bulb what the element is that's so rare. It's an earth element that gives it a pinkish purplish color in the light bulb itself. But when you turn on the light, it's in full spectrum. Plant lights would be the next best thing, but do not use these things without a doctor's recommendation if you have bipolar problems, and check with your doctor for medical safety if you're using it at all. Don't give any vitamin product to anyone under 8 years unless under a doctor's recommendation. Use only the best for them, and not Flintstone vitamins that are synthetic and inorganic mineral forms. My favorite and also for your pets. Your pets also need a good vitamin mineral product that's not rock form. But you can use rock form trace minerals so that you can add that back in there. Also, kelp might be from this ocean might be a good source of trace minerals to use the whole herb kelp. We're now doing part 2 of ways to live longer. As I was continuing, don't give any vitamin products to anyone under 8 years unless under a doctor's recommendation. Use only the best for them, and not Flintstone vitamins that are synthetic in inorganic mineral forms. My favorite vitamin supplements for adults, and you also need organic forms for your pets, is put out by Garden of Life and is called the Vitamin Code. It uses yeast to create more absorbable minerals, but it is more expensive. Other companies' manufacturers that I have enjoyed include Source Naturals and Enzymatic Therapy, and sometimes Nature's Way. I try to avoid generic labels, and I avoid GNC. I am leery of giving children vaccines at a very young age, but primarily the whooping cough vaccine has some controversy behind it. Some people blame that it has a mercury as a preservative. Maybe a parent could wait until the child is more nutritionally supported and that their brain is more developed before giving them some of these, like the whooping cough vaccine. I do not support circumcision. It's a decision best left up to the individual person and not doctors or parents. Circumcision defeats the idea of intimacy by 50% to 65% to 75% because most of the nerves of this organ are lost because of circumcision, and the losses continue the older a person becomes after having circumcision. Doctors have used the excuse of reducing sexually transmitted diseases. That doesn't apply to monogamous people. They use the excuse of cleanliness. It really isn't that difficult to clean anyway. And they use the excuse to prevent cancer of the foreskin. Very rarely, nor do we throw away body parts just because the idea of cancer exists. And to prevent strangulation that would lead to nerve damage or the loss of organ, or the loss of the organ, very rarely occurring in people. Regular checkups could stave off these worries anyway. Why make other people pay for it? The rights of those who would benefit from this procedure do not exceed the 95%, which is just a statistic I pulled out of the air, of anyone else who would be circumcised against their wishes. Jews are the only minority who do this for a religious reason. They believe it falls under the covenant of Abraham in the Bible times. Christianity, it was done away with. In the New Testament, if you follow that. I am a lay person, so check with your doctor about any of these statements, but please realize that the costly procedure is becoming less in the population than half of all males, the farther along on our timeline that we go, and I'm sure that it isn't done in most third world countries. Oil of oregano of the right species is becoming a very helpful tonic and can be found in fine health food stores. The wellness formula by Source Naturals can be used to give a person more energy when suffering a cold. Zinc lozenges do have an antiviral effect and can help the immune system, but remember that a person has to take the correct amount of copper to balance it out. Remember that rock forms of zinc or other minerals is only 5% or less absorbable the older one gets. So use a zinc amino acid chelated form that is about 50% absorbed by most ages. Paw d'Arco also has some antibiotic properties, but check with your herbalist to find out what it is. Phyllis Balch has also written another important book called Prescription for Herbal Healing, where she focuses in on using herbs. James A. Duke has written his book Green Pharmacy and has said that a garden spice can be manufactured as a pain medication without any side effects, like to the degree of those found in NSAIDs that people use so much of. Some people swear by apple cider vinegar to help balance their intestinal pH levels. Dr. Oz said, I think that barley has the ability to save the male hormone, testosterone. I love organic carrot juice. There are sweet varieties of carrots for the beta-carotene, and throw in an organic apple or celery, and use a champion juicer if you have to, and add a green powder superfood product, and it can become very popular. There are herbs for women in menopause. Iridology is the ability to look at the age spots in someone's eyes and see organ deficiencies. Bilberry extract contains capsules. Bilberry extracted concentrated capsules can help with the eye, like Paul Harvey says, that ocular nutrition. Paul Harvey says that ocular nutrition can be used to prevent forms of vision loss, and that formula contains bilberry. But I recommend going to a Source Naturals extracted concentrate of bilberry for its benefits. Of course, his formula includes vitamin A, beta-carotene, and zinc. Pilots in World War II consumed copious amounts of bilberry jam to help prevent night blindness so that they could see. Super cold quantum computers that has 0, -0, and the digit 0, or not just ones and zeros, but -0. Super cold quantum computers that use ones, zeros, and -1s now will be the future in medicine for modeling individuals' DNA or other individuals' biochemistry, like with bioidentical hormones, or for seeing how a patient will react to any particular substance. It is a toxic overload of so many endocrine disruptors, estrogen mimickers in our environment, chemicals and pesticides that mankind has never had to deal with previously in human history. Given the right nutrition, we might be able to reverse chromosomal damage that the dad might pass on. Phyllis Balch has also written another important book called Prescription for Herbal Healing, where she focuses in on using herbs. James A. Duke has written his book Green Pharmacy and has said that a garden spice can be manufactured as a pain medication without any side effects, like to the degree of those found in NSAIDs that people use so much of. Some people swear by apple cider vinegar to help balance their intestinal pH levels. Dr. Oz said, I think that barley has the ability to save the male hormone, testosterone. I love organic carrot juice. There are sweet varieties of carrots for the beta-carotene, and throw in an organic apple or celery, and use a champion juicer if you have to, and add a green powder superfood product, and it can become very popular. There are herbs for women in menopause. Iridology is the ability to look at the age spots in someone's eyes and see organ deficiencies. Bilberry extract containing capsules. Bilberry extracted concentrated capsules can help with the eye, like Paul Harvey says, that ocular nutrition. Paul Harvey says that ocular nutrition can be used to prevent forms of vision loss, and that formula contains bilberry. But I recommend going to a Source Naturals extracted concentrate of bilberry for its benefits. Of course, his formula includes vitamin A, beta-carotene, and zinc. Pilots in World War II consumed copious amounts of bilberry jam to help prevent night blindness so that they could see. Super cold quantum computers that has 0, -0, and the digit 0, or not just ones and zeros, but -0. Super cold quantum computers that use ones, zeros, and negative ones now will be the future in medicine for modeling individuals' DNA or other individuals' biochemistry, like with bioidentical hormones, or for seeing how a patient will react to any particular substance. It is a toxic overload of so many endocrine disruptors, estrogen mimickers in our environment, chemicals and pesticides that mankind has never had to deal with previously in human history. Given the right nutrition, we might be able to reverse chromosomal damage that the dad might pass on to the newborn if he starts sooner than conception. And as with the woman, a woman has to take nutrition to prevent birth defects also before conception and during conception. Iodine needs to be taken in a multivitamin to prevent radiation accumulation from the environment. Folic acid really does prevent birth defects in babies, but it is best to take all of the supplements long before a man and a woman try to get pregnant. In other words, both the man and the woman need a lifelong nutritional program, especially during all stages of pregnancy, to help reduce the risks of birth defects and chromosomal damage that they might pass along. It would give the mother a nutrition buffer for both the ways she feels and for the way the baby develops during the pregnancy. Breastfeeding does give the baby more intelligence and quite a boost of immunity that colostrum supplements just can't imitate, or any other baby formula, except if the mother is eating the right foods and or products and not on the low-fat diet. The person who taught me CPR says do not take anything that's low-fat in your diet, or products or dairy-containing products, or anything that says low-fat on them. The brain is made of a kind of cholesterol and needs the right kinds of fats and cholesterol in the diet in conjunction with all the nutrients, including trace minerals, that I had previously mentioned to help balance each other out for the brain to stay healthy. Fibromyalgia sufferers may benefit from Tahitian noni juice. And SAMe, S-A-M-E, there's another product that's important in the Prescription for Nutritional Healing by Phyllis Balch, and 5-HTP-L-hydroxytryptophan, and malic acid supplements. All things in moderation. Diversify, and don't put all your eggs in one basket. Food allergies are at an all-time high, but there is enough of different kinds of foods for everyone. 20 almonds a day may prevent cancer. Pumpkin seeds have high amounts of zinc that's available, and it's good for men. It is from the soil and would act antiparasitically, and it is an aphrodisiac food because the zinc will help the male reproductive system. An ounce of prevention is economically worth a pound of cure. So there isn't any real excuse for the middle class not to feel like $1 million. I think that any health insurance should include complementary medicine and preventative medicine and products in its program, and reward those who don't smoke or drink. My economic model is one where No one has to be hurt in this world, whether in life or in needing to pay for disproportionate taxes to anyone else. In my church, in the church I attend, both the rich and the poor have to pay 10% in the LDS church, or 10% of their entire income, just to see God the Father and live near to Him in the next life. Those who refuse to pay tithing will not all live in the same place with Him, may not have access to Him in the same way people who do pay tithing do. But they will get to be visited by His Son Jesus Christ in a lesser place, but still considered to be part of the kingdom of heaven in general, mercifully. The most powerful thing to heal is the soul, the way God does. Our Savior Jesus Christ, who is the only one person who can properly heal the soul, the mind, and the body, as all soul, power, and cause-effect belong to Him anyway. A person can try to heal the body, but nothing will ever be as powerful as a soul in good standing, or visited, and with God the Father, the Holy Ghost, and the Redeemer, Mr. Yeshua ben Joseph, or Jesus the Christ. Reversing someone's speech by playing it backwards, you can hear forwards, spoken words from the unconscious mind of truths that the person is thinking at the time. David John Oates is a pioneer of this. Do not use hypnotism to treat any problem, ever.
Here is of the part 3 segment of Ways to Live Longer.
Reversing someone's speech by playing it backwards, you can hear forwards, spoken words from the unconscious mind of truths that the person is thinking at the time. In other words, play a track of something on audio cassette backwards, and you'll hear someone talking like, "Oh, I am going to the beach today," like something like that. It's like, "I'm going to the beach today." David John Oates is the pioneer of this. Do not use hypnotism to treat any problem, even from a professional, and especially not for entertainment. It is just another thing that goes contrary to the freedom of our spirits that God allows mankind to have. Don't turn over your individual free will or rights to any person, not even your own husband or wife. On a side note, the devil does exist, and that is all the more reason to be on God's side of the line and to keep the door of one's life closed to the devil's confusion, deception, and doubting of God's love for each one of us as individuals. The Lord Jesus Christ is a personal Savior. So stay away from all psychics, astrologers, Nostradamus, and remote viewers who were trained and learned from the Pentagon how to be psychic. Some of the remote viewers were majors and had been on the RPL radio program. When the apostle in the New Testament cast out the devil from the Roman girl, she couldn't tell anyone their future anymore. And so the people who were getting paid because of her weren't getting their money anymore. But then she left them straightway and became a Christian among their numbers. The devil does have access to our future's knowledge. If we allow such people into our lives, it will not be a good thing. I would avoid any church that openly advocates exorcism, such as the Catholics, who recently met in Baltimore, Maryland, to discuss their policies about exorcism. And there's been a lot of information about it on the news lately. And churches having mass hysteria. Joseph Smith was told, that's not from God, that's coming from the power of the adversary, or Satan. The scripture says that some people will go to the Lord in the next life and say, didn't we work wonders and in the New Testament, and heal people, and cast out foreign spirits or demons, and we did it in your name, Lord? He will say, depart from me, ye workers of iniquity, for I never knew you. That is because they had to have the correct authority to act in God's name. Like King Saul couldn't perform the temple ceremony when the prophet was supposed to do it. That's why he got kicked out of being king of Israel, and King David was allowed to be on the throne, because you have to have the authority. Only the tribe of Levi could perform priesthood functions within the temple. Any ceremony or ordinance or covenant that belonged to God had to be only performed by someone who had the power. Only the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, well, some people nickname them Mormons, claim to have this restored authority or priesthood that had been handed directly to Joseph Smith by Peter, James, and John in the 1800s. That had been taken from the earth after the apostles had all been martyred for the testimony of Christ, and they didn't, and the priesthood power didn't continue on into the Roman Empire. Why would the Middle Ages burn so many people for publishing the New Testament scriptures in English, when only a few interpreters of the scriptures could read it in Latin, as seen on public television this December 2010? In any event, getting rid of sleaze, promiscuity in our lives, and boycotting R-rated movies and music is the first step to wellness, even more so than these nutrients I've mentioned, as Jesus taught to love our enemies in this process of life that he has given and granted in our mortal probationary state. Thank you for listening, and I hope to be able to speak a few more things